Today, we're diving into a case that just stumped investigators for years. You've got all the classic elements, right? Forensic evidence, a whole list of suspects, a really compelling victim. But, and this is the crazy part, the clues that actually mattered, they weren't anywhere near the crime scene.
Yeah, this quote from the case files, it really hits the nail on the head. I mean, the police had a ton of information, a mountain of it, really. But the actual truth was buried so deep under all these clever tricks and false leads. So let's do what they did and start right at the beginning, the crime scene. All right, picture this, a lonely, deserted road just outside San Antonio, Texas. That's where police find something awful. The body of a 30-year-old nurse named Kathleen Lipscomb. Right away, they knew it was murder. But something else about the scene was just off. Really, really strange.
So the scene itself was a huge puzzle. Kathleen's body was found nude, which immediately makes you think, okay, crime of passion, maybe a sexual assault. But then, right next to her, her clothes were rolled up with perfect military-style precision. I mean, what? This was no random act of violence. This was a message, a very deliberate clue, left by someone who clearly had a very specific kind of background.
So you have this clue pointing straight at someone with a military connection. Naturally, the investigation immediately zooms in on the men in Kathleen's life. And trust me, there was no shortage of suspects to look at. Each one had a possible motive, each one had a story, and it all just created this tangled, confusing web for police to try and figure out.
Okay, so they pretty quickly zeroed in on three main guys, and each one took them down a totally different rabbit hole. First up, you've got the estranged husband, Bill. He's in the Air Force, so that military connection is a big red flag. But he seems to have a rock-solid alibi. Then there's her married lover, a Dr. Pearl, who admits he was with her that very weekend. And to top it off, a coworker who just disappears right around the time she was killed. A real mess.
And you know, just to make things even harder, the physical evidence they did find at the scene, it didn't point to any of these guys, not a single one. Instead, it sent the whole investigation spinning off in a completely different and totally misleading direction. So the first big red herring, literally, came from 4 strands of dyed red hair found on Kathleen's clothes. You can't ignore physical evidence like that, right? And then a neighbor comes forward saying they saw a mysterious red-headed woman near Kathleen's place right around the time of the murder. It felt like a slam dunk, a perfect match, but it was actually the perfect distraction. And this is it. This is the wall that every investigation dreads hitting. You have suspects, you have evidence, but nothing connects. The pieces just don't fit. So the trail went cold. And for 2 long years, it looked like Kathleen's murder was just never gonna be solved. So yeah, the case is officially cold. For 2 whole years, nothing. Absolutely no progress. Kathleen's family, totally frustrated, decides to hire a private investigator. And this PI has a different idea. He decides to stop looking at the crime scene and start looking at Kathleen's personal life. And that's where he finds it, the one thing that would blow this whole case wide open.
And this breakthrough, it didn't happen in a forensics lab or some tense interrogation room. Nope, it came from the pages of Kathleen's own diary. You know, a place where she just jotted down her daily thoughts. But it also held secrets, the very secrets that would eventually point directly to her killer.
And there it was, just tucked away in her diary. This one, single, kind of cryptic line. I mean, it doesn't look like much at first glance, but this sentence, it uncovered a massive motive that the police had completely, totally missed. And that motive was blackmail. Seriously, that diary was a gold mine. It started connecting all these dots. There was a huge life insurance policy, a career-ending cheating scandal with Bill's Air Force promotion tests, they call them WAPS tests, and even a potential mistress, a woman named Shannon Gilbert. See, Kathleen didn't just know about all of Bill's secrets, she had written them all down.
And oh yeah, let's not forget about the money. We're talking about a lot of money. Just 7 months before she was killed, Bill ups her life insurance policy to over $300,000. All of a sudden, his motive isn't just about keeping secrets, it's about a massive payday.
Okay, so with this bombshell new info about a possible cheating scandal in the military, the Air Force's own Office of Special Investigations gets involved, and they bring in their own secret weapon, a forensic psychologist named Dr. Charles McDowell. His job wasn't to look at the physical evidence, but to analyze the mind of the person who left it behind.
So, what is forensic psychology anyway?
Well, it's not about fingerprints or DNA. It's all about behavior. It's basically the art of reading a crime scene to figure out the killer's personality, their motives, and maybe even the mistakes they made. And for this case, it turned out to be the absolute perfect tool for the job.
Dr. McDowell gets the case files, takes one look, and immediately sees something everyone else had missed. The nude body, the deserted road, it was all a little too perfect, you know? He realized the whole scene was staged. It was all a performance, designed to make the police think it was a random attack by a stranger, a sexual predator, anything to lead them away from someone Kathleen actually knew.
So McDowell lays out this incredible theory in 3 parts. First, the killer knew Kathleen and staged the whole thing to throw the cops off. Second, the killer had help. An accomplice was involved. See, he theorized that killers who know their victim often cover the face, maybe out of guilt. But Kathleen's face wasn't covered. He thought, someone else must have dumped the body. And third, and this is amazing, the way her legs were crossed told him that rigor mortis had set in while her body was stuffed in a really cramped space, like a chest.
So now, armed with this incredible psychological profile, the investigators have a whole new game plan. They're not just hunting for a killer anymore. Now they're looking for a killer and an accomplice. And the plan? Use psychology to pit them against each other.
And the first domino to fall? The alibi. Bill's alibi. Kathleen's children, who were a bit older now, they changed their story. They revealed that on the night she was killed, their dad wasn't with them at all. They were out to dinner with his best friend, another guy from the military named Tony Borello. And just like that, the accomplice had a name.
And boom, the case just broke wide open. Tony Borello, who must have been carrying this incredible guilt, he confessed. He admitted everything, that he dumped Kathleen's body for Bill. This completely confirmed Dr. McDowell's theory. So what do the investigators do? They take that confession and use it to put some serious psychological pressure on Bill Lipscomb. And this is the exact moment it all comes crashing down. During the interrogation with Dr. McDowell, Bill makes a classic Freudian slip. He actually says, "I don't know why I killed her." And then he catches himself, immediately trying to take it back. "I did not kill my wife." But it was too late. The confession was out there. They had him. So with these confessions, the investigators could finally paint the full, horrifying picture of what happened that night. Bill sends his kids off to dinner with his buddy Tony. He gets Kathleen to come over to the house, they argue, and he strangles her. Then, he stuffs her body into a cedar chest, exactly like Dr. McDowell predicted, and later that night, has Tony dump the body and stage the whole scene. So, how did it all shake out? Well, Bill Lipscomb pled guilty, mostly to avoid the death penalty, and got a life sentence. His accomplice, Tony Borello, got immunity in exchange for his testimony. As for the other people involved, they were either totally cleared or put into witness protection. And just like that, this incredibly long and twisted case was finally closed.
You know, this case is such a fascinating look at how investigations work. The physical evidence, the red hairs, the staged scene, it all led absolutely nowhere. It was all a dead end. The real key, the thing that cracked the case, was understanding the psychology of the people involved. It really leaves you with a big question, doesn't it? When you're searching for the truth, what's actually more powerful? The physical evidence you can hold in your hand, or the psychological warfare you can wage in someone's mind?